So hello, good morning, good afternoon-ish if you're on the East Coast or Europe. My name is Ellen Goodwin, and I am here today with my colleague Kyle, and we're going to do a live demonstration of all things Trustworthy. This is a fun moment for us, and we hope a really useful one for you, so you can see how Trustworthy works live and ask all your questions, big or small. And to that effect, next slide. We are going to quickly cover how, this is Kyle and me, next slide, how to ask those questions. So whether you're on mobile or desktop, go to that 9-dot grid at the bottom, click there and choose Q&A, and you can submit your questions there. Do not worry if we do not get to your question during today's event. We do faithfully report all of those questions and our answers to them on our website after the event as well. And we will send everyone an email pointing you at those in the next day or so as well. Okay, next slide. So today we're going to be talking about where we are today at Trustworthy. We're constantly evolving, and we're going to take a look back to understand where we are. And I think this is really helpful for all of you as you get started, because you're going to be bringing friends and family into this process, tax accountants, lawyers, whomever it is. And for you to understand a little bit of Trustworthy helps give them the answers they need as they work with you inside Trustworthy. We are going to spend more time than usual even on what's new at Trustworthy, because we have a big new feature release coming this week, and Kyle's going to show you all this feature for the very first time, in addition to walking you through all things Trustworthy so that you feel really confident as you get started in finding the right path for you. All of this will be recorded, so do not worry about taking notes. You'll be able to replay this and follow along at your leisure. If you do have driver's license, passport, a bill that came in the mail, anything like that handy, feel free to grab that now and have it with you. You can sign into your account and you can test things as we go as well. All right, next slide. So this is what the background I want to give you all, so you have it for yourself and for friends and family and advisors that you work with. You know, we get asked all the time, how long have you been around? 2019, 2020 is when we got started, really concentrating on the fact that people have a lot of information in a million different places, and we need to put it all together in a meaningful location. But unlike I think the prevailing idea is you have a startup, you create a product, and you put it out in the market. It's not quite like that, at least not for a company like Trustworthy, because the security that we had to build, the privacy elements had to come before anything else. There's no way you can put all your information into a tool if it's not the best it can possibly be in terms of security and privacy. So yes, we have encryption. Lots of times you'll see companies say, we have military grade encryption. That's the bare minimum, 256-bit encryption, right? But we had to layer in more. So for example, two-factor authentication. You can't put information inside Trustworthy without it. This is us protecting you. And you know, last fall, I tell people there's this great news article, not great, depends on your perspective, for a couple in Chicago who had opted out of two-factor authentication for the system where they do their their investment for their retirement account. They opted out of it, and there was a breach. And ultimately, the company did not return all of the money they lost because they were found liable for not using two-factor authentication. So it was a really great lesson for us all, like, let's be secure. But we've also gone beyond that. We use something called tokenization. And I really love the way our CEO describes what on earth is tokenization. Think about all your account numbers, your special ID numbers, your social security number if you're in the US. These really, really sensitive pieces of information, we take it's like taking each number and putting each one into a separate security vault. And only you have the key to take those numbers back out and to put them together in the right order. So your sensitive information gets extra protection from us as well. In addition, we have HIPAA protection. So you can have full lifespan of information in here, including health and medical information, which many of us need on a regular basis. So security and privacy is where we started. Then we had to look at, okay, how do you, no matter if you're my daughter who's 16 or my father who's 75, put information into Trustworthy. How does it work for you? Are you like me and you grab the mail from the mailbox and the last thing you want to do is add it to the pile of paper on your kitchen counter? That's my problem, right? So I take out the mobile app, I open it up, I take a picture with Trustworthy, and I'm done. I recycle it, right? So we wanted to find all the ways that regular people put information in to make it easy in your daily life. Then we had to layer in, we don't want to look at blank pieces of paper, any of us, right? Tell me where to get started for my life, my situation. And that's where the guidance and reminders came in so that you have ideas. Oh, in finance, you probably want to add these things. In passwords, you probably want to add these things, giving you somewhere to start so it's a lot easier. And as Kyle will show you later, now that we've brought chat into the equation, it's even easier. You can literally open up Trustworthy and say, I'm focused on estate planning today. What should I add to my account next? And it will give you advice, right? So the chat function will reinforce that and we'll show that to you. We did wait a bit and we finally introduced both iOS and Android app. The app is very, very commonly used for retrieving information in a hurry, right? I need the front of my driver's license and I need to send it to my partner. I need to send it to the insurance company. I need to, give it to the dealer, whatever it is. But also it's also used for adding information very quickly, right? You can just scan it with your phone and send it over to Trustworthy. Finally, a couple of years ago, not just this year, not with all the AI craze that you've all heard about, but over the past couple of years, we've been testing autopilot AI, helping you by saying, you don't want to have to type in every single detail on your driver's license. You don't want to have to sit there and do that. And if you're like me, you're going to fat finger it and miss a digit or something like that. So we were trying to use AI to take the burden off of you to input all that information, give you quick summaries. And that has evolved a lot. This year, we got a lot of feedback. We did a lot of panels. And the release that we're doing this week that Kyle's going to preview for you is the best of both worlds. AI inputting all that information, the tiny details, giving you suggestions. Hey, you have this insurance policy. Do you want to create this car that goes with it? Giving you suggestions on reminders, things like that, but giving you the control to say yes or no, or to change those details. So that's what we're going to preview for you next. Next slide. So today, how does Trustworthy work? One thing you'll hear us talk about, or you'll read in our help desk or see in our articles, is what we call the household data graph. This is not a bin of files and folders. This is not a digital files and folders like Google, right? Those just sit there and they're waiting for you to do something with them. We create a household data graph that smartly understands how things connect. It says, oh, this insurance policy is for this address and these vehicles and these covered drivers, so that you have a whole picture, right? So if I'm managing the health insurance for my family and my husband's managing the finances, both of us have incomplete information, but inside Trustworthy, I can get the whole picture. I can see, oh yeah, the mortgage is paid from this bank account and is connected to this provider. And this is really, really important for us to bring more value to you. And this is how chat is powered too. So let's dive in. Kyle is going to walk you through where we are today and where we're heading very, very soon with the latest features from Trustworthy. Kyle?
Yeah, I just want to back up to the Q&A section because I know we had some late joiners. So if you didn't see this, Q&A is done through the Google Meet window that you're in, or tab that you're in your browser. In the bottom right, there's this 9-box icon. You can tap on that and click on Q&A, and that's where you can submit your questions. We'll try and answer them as we go, but we're going to set time aside at the end to go through all of these. And if we don't get to them all, we're going to write up responses and we'll post those online and we'll send a link via email once the recording is all ready. Let's do this. I'm going to jump into Trustworthy now. So give me a second here just to get going. What I want to do, I want to talk a bit about how things work now, and then talk about how things will work in a day or two when we launch something new, this feature called the inbox. I'm logged into a site that's exactly like what yours is now and how it works now. I've done very little here. I just uploaded a couple passports for my family members. What I want to do is just explain how the AI works now if you're going to upload stuff today, and then that'll help ground us in for the next discussion, which is where we're moving to in the next day or two based on feedback from customers. So let me do this. we're going to talk a lot today about how you get data into Trustworthy. The most important part. You got to get your files and documents to Trustworthy. I happen to have an insurance policy thing here already digital. It's like a PDF. I'm just going to drag it into my system. This is one way that you can get stuff in, is just drag it onto your home screen. And what happens here is it's going to process this file, and you'll see it snap into your feed, and it's going to go through this loading as it sort of analyzes it. But what you're going to find is it does every single thing for you. It determines where it's going to file it. It creates pages for all these things, like the vehicles that are on this, the owners who are on this. It'll create a contact for your insurance company. It creates all of these things automatically and helps build out your Trustworthy. That's the part that's going to be changing slightly, and we'll get into that in a minute. But I just want to show you what happens here when this is done processing. So this is a declarations page for auto insurance. So what's happened is you can see some of my navigation here lit up. It's created a page inside my insurance category called Geico Auto Insurance. If I go over there, I'll see that insurance policy page, and it's got all the data in here from policy numbers, insurers, drivers, vehicles, etc., due dates, all sorts of things in here. What it also did is it created vehicles inside my property category. It created contacts inside my contacts area for the insurance company. This is the part that's changing. Some of the feedback that we got from people is, you know what, it's okay that you filed it here, or I wish you would have asked me where I wanted it to go instead of just putting it there. But I didn't need you to create all these other pages. I didn't want that contact in my contact database. I didn't need those vehicles in my property category. I'll add them when I'm ready to add them. So one of the things changing, instead of this automation that just does all this stuff and creates all these things without your confirmation, is that we've introduced a new functionality that will anything that you upload like without putting it on a specific page, like you just send it into Trustworthy. I'll show you all those different ways. Anything that you do that way will land in something called the inbox that'll make suggestions as to what to do, but it'll wait for your confirmation before it does anything. So that's a bit about how it works now. As of today, you upload stuff and it creates all these things for you and fills in the blanks. I'm going to go over to a different environment where we've got a preview of a new version of this in place with a new tab called Inbox. Inbox will be your landing page moving forward. And any file that you send to Trustworthy without specifically uploading it to a very specific destination, like you didn't go into your home page and then upload it to your real estate, you sent it via email, you connected your Gmail, you scanned it from mobile, you just dragged it onto the dashboard. All of those like methodologies where you didn't say where it's going to go, it's going to land in this inbox with a suggestion. If you are a brand new user, you'll also see some of the getting started tasks on here. These just help you know some of the features and functions that can help you along your journey. These will get removed from your list as you take action on these or as you dismiss them. If you don't want to learn about those things, you can dismiss them. But it's important to dig into some of these features that we surface, just so you know the breadth of what Trustworthy can do. While I'm here, I'm going to do an example where I'm going to upload a few passports from my family. I've got these already in as PDFs. You may not. You have to digitize them. I'll show you how that works in a moment. But I just want to talk about the inbox for a minute. So I'm going to drag some stuff into Trustworthy. It goes through a similar process here where it's going to analyze these first. Typically, the way I see people operate, it's kind of this set it and forget it mode where they just like scan files, forward emails, connect their Gmail, all this stuff just goes into Trustworthy, and we come up with suggestions as to how you should file it and where you should put it. What it's doing now is it's analyzing these files. It's going to extract the data from the files. It's going to give me a recommendation as to where I should file it, and then I just need to confirm those recommendations. And there's a few more bells and whistles, but we'll get into those once we touch more complex files with a lot of connectivity to other things in our system. You can see already it's like looked at this passport and it said, hey, you know what? You should create a new page here. This new batch indicates that this is going to be a net new page. You should create this new page and we'll put this file there. And if I happen to click accept here, it's going to remove it from my inbox. And then my family category just got lit up. And now David Reynolds has a page in here. And if I go into David Reynolds, I'll see my passport file there. And as I move more files and I send more files to Trustworthy, it'll start to fill in these blanks: my driver's license, global entry, social security, etc. When I come back here, I can see that it's finished processing some of these other ones. It wants to create new pages for these. You know, you can accept these. If you want to review the details, you can click on it to see a summary, which is not that interesting for a passport, but if it was a longer document like a power of attorney or something like that, you'll get a nice summary of what's in there. You'll see some details here. This is where you can correct anything that looks like it's incorrect. And then you can just accept. If this is where you want to put it, you can just accept, and it's going to remove it from your inbox, and it's going to file it. So what it would have done there is create a page for Oliver, same idea. So passport there anytime you need it. So you'll get this opportunity to accept these things as they come through. And that's one way to get files in. If you already have digital files in a drive somewhere, or in Dropbox, or in Google Drive, or something like that, you can drag them onto your dashboard here, let it process through them, look at the recommendations it makes. If you don't want to file it there, there's options to move it as well. I'll show you those as well. While we're in here, I'm going to grab one more file and just show you how it will match this to an existing place. So this is a social security card. It's, in theory, it should want to put it inside my David Reynolds page that is already created. So I've got this page for David. After it's done processing and analyzing that file, it'll make a recommendation to move it over there. I just accept it, and it's going to put that social security card over there. So it's going to create new pages if it needs them. If there's already a page for where this file should be, it's going to move it to that page. This is a case where this page for David Reynolds is no longer new, but it knows that it should file it over there, and just click accept. And effectively what's happened is when I go back to family, go back to David Reynolds, my passport is still there, but also my social security card is there with the SSN, etc. Let's talk about mobile for a second, because that was very simplistic on my end, because I already have these files digitized. They're already in PDFs or PNG format, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you're starting from paper, and that's where the mobile app comes in. This is available on iOS and Android. Let me just get Face ID done. This is on iOS and Android, and when you download the app, you'll be able to log in. It's going to go through a sync process where it syncs anything from the web. An important note about the mobile app is it has some offline capabilities, meaning certain documents and data is stored offline. Documents that you might need in the case of an emergency, things like IDs, insurance policies, medical directives, health insurance, etc. All of that stuff's available offline. In case of those types of true emergencies where maybe there's a hurricane and all the networks are down or jammed and you can't get online, you still have access to data even in those situations. Okay, so that's important to know. That's why you're seeing the sync process is just downloading things offline and securing them there. So let's do this. Let's say I've got some physical files that I want to digitize. The mobile app is a great tool for that. Down in the bottom right, you'll always have access to this plus button. That'll, when I click on plus, I've got a few options. I use the scan document option lots. So let's say you've got a document. Here I've got a insurance declarations page. I can just click scan document. I'll point at the file. It's going to scan it. Okay, when it's done the scan, I can just click the check mark on the top right. It's going to upload this document. It's going to send it into Trustworthy, and you can see it's landed there on the web app to the right, and it's going to process through this. It's going to come up with the filing location for this file, and it's going to go through that whole process. If it was a multi-page document, you can just scan the page, flip the page over, it'll scan the second page. You can do many page documents. My recommendation though is like when a document is done, click the check mark at the top to upload it. Instead of moving on to the next document and building one giant PDF with a bunch of documents combined, our system can't break these documents apart into separate entities. If it's a multi-page will, let's say, you can scan through all those pages, then send it to Trustworthy before you move on to, you know, your health insurance or something like that. So send those as separate uploads. While I'm in here, let me do health insurance. I'm going to scan another file. So if this was a multi-page, I could just flip it over and do the next side, right, or the next page. In my case, it was just a card, so I'm going to upload that. And you can see all that stuff has landed directly into Trustworthy here, and it's waiting for you to sort of approve and triage it. This one, I'm going to do the complex one where I uploaded this file into the current version previously that when we started this call, where it created all of these things automatically: vehicles, cover drivers, contacts, etc. Just by clicking accept, it won't create all those other items. There's a few ways that you can force it to create those items. One is right from here. Anything that has these like green pluses next to them are kind of suggestions, right? You can create a page for these items if you see fit. You may not want pages for these items, or you may want to edit it because it got it wrong or something like that. But if you wanted to create a page inside the property category for these vehicles, you can do that by clicking plus here. It will also surface these suggestions later as well. So what I'm going to do is, let's say I do want to create a page for the Sienna. You'll see my property category lit up there, so there, I know there's going to be a Sienna in there. Let's say that was all I wanted to do, and now I go, let's accept this filing location and be done with this file. It moves that file over to my insurance category. Okay, it creates a page for it here. And when I go into this page, I can see that some things like the Toyota Sienna don't have the green plus next to it because there is an actual real page behind it where I can click through and go there. And some other things like the Lexus or a Geico indemnity company, they still have this green plus, which means this is still a suggestion. You can create a page for this if you want, but you don't need to. And the reason you might create pages for things is it gives a better network of how things connect. So I can click through to this Toyota Sienna. I will find it inside my property category. And you can see when I go in there, it already has a bunch of data on the Sienna that it got from that insurance policy file originally. So it's filled in some blanks about this vehicle. And what I like about pages is that I've got this sort of repository for data about my vehicle. So as I upload things like a vehicle registration, I'll put it on this page. If I have other files, maybe they're maintenance invoices from any scheduled maintenance that I have on my vehicle, I can upload them here. If I've got a title document or something, I can upload it here to this page. There's a whole section on every page called files. And on these pages, you can have just a single files folder, or you can create new subfolders for things. So having this page as like a place to put extra data about that item is useful, but it's not for everybody. Not everyone wants all these different pages in their system. So the optionality is out there. So again, anytime you see a green plus next to something, it could add a new page or a contact for that item. In this case, clicking plus on Geico would create a contact in my contact area for Geico, and you could fill it in with phone numbers and anything like that. So that's a bit about, you can see that policy documents on here. That's a bit about how this inbox works. Any of these things you can click on to preview it to understand it a bit more. The goal though is to clear this inbox and determine the filing location for it. So if I click accept, it's going to create a page called insurance, David Reynolds and Better is to create this page. If for whatever reason this is not where I wanted it to go, there's several ways that you can change this. One way is using this little ... There's a move option where you can basically choose, I already have an existing page for this insurance policy. It has a different name. you can move it there. And basically how this works is you can say, okay, let's put this in, Geico, and let's put it in the files folder. You can navigate, move these things around inside your system, if that makes sense. So just because it's made a suggestion doesn't mean you have to put it there. But this is a really good shortcut. It's accurate a lot of the time. You can just click accept and go through these very quickly. And this will be available on mobile as well. If I flip back to my mobile app, you can see that same file is sitting on my home screen here. And if I open it up, I can click accept on that to put that document where I want it to go. Okay, and you can choose to move it as well if you wanted to navigate to it. I just tapped on the location. If I want to pick a different spot for it to go, I could do that as well. Okay, so mobile is a great place to digitize things, and it's also a great place to get answers. We'll look at that in a moment. What I want to do is talk about a couple other ways to get data into Trustworthy, because data is all over the place. Ellen touched on this a bit. It's not always a pile on your countertop that you need to scan. Sometimes they're in your email, right? So you get a document to your email and you're like, oh, I got to get this to Trustworthy. How do I do that? There's two ways to get stuff out of your email. One is pretty versatile. We call it email to Trustworthy. Basically, your account has a unique email address associated with it, and you can send files to that email address and they'll land in this inbox and come up with suggestions as to where to file them. In order to get set up to use that, what I'd recommend is we need to figure out what is our email address for this account. There's two ways to see that. One is under your add menu. If you click add, there's all these different ways you can get data into Trustworthy. One of them is direct email. And this email address is where you want to send it to. You don't want to have to come in here to copy it all the time. You're not going to remember the email address. I can guarantee you that. It's pretty complicated. What I would suggest, though, is copy it and then create a contact in whatever if you're a Google person, add it to Google Contacts. If you're an Apple person, add it to your Apple Contacts. If you're an Outlook person, add it to your Outlook Contacts. What that means is once it's in those contacts, anytime you're looking at an email, you'll be able to easily forward it to this email address and not have to remember. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into Google Contacts. I'm going to call this June webinar Trustworthy and put my email address in there, and I'm going to save this. So now I've got a contact in there that's easy for me to service anytime I want on my mobile app, my Gmail mobile app. I can forward emails to that address easily. On my desktop, I can do that as well. So let's do an example. Here's an email that came in from my sister, Leah. It's my father's power of attorney. Now, I want to get this out of my email into Trustworthy. All I need to do is click forward, and let's say June webinar. That's what I call this contact. You might call it Trustworthy, whatever. So that's the unique email address that my Trustworthy generated for me, and I've added it as a contact. Now I'm just going to forward this email to that account. And so what happens with these emails is this is going to hit our server. It's going to extract the file. It's going to secure it in the vault, encrypted, tokenized, all that sort of stuff. And you're going to see it pop into this list in a second. And anything that's forwarded in here will land in your inbox, and you get a chance to triage it and determine where to file it, accept any of the things that it's asking you to accept. So you can see this has come in. It knows who sent it or what email address sent it. So you've got like some breadcrumbs as to like, how did this end up in my account? Was this did my wife send this in? Did another one of my collaborators send this in? Did I do this? So you'll get a clue to the sender and how that got into your account. So it's going to process through this and do what we've seen, where it comes up with a suggestion as to where it should go. And in this case, it's creating a page for Lawrence Waddington. And I can accept this, and it's going to remove it from my inbox. It's going to create a page inside legal, and there's my advanced healthcare directive in here. Okay, it's all these suggested pages. Do you want to create a contact for Lawrence? My dad. Maybe I do, or he's my father-in-law in my fictional household here. So maybe I do want to create a page for him. It's good to have a contact for Lawrence. Christian Avasala as my agent. Maybe I don't. These witnesses, I don't need to pay contacts for them. There's my digital copy of that file. It's all contained now, and all I had to do was forward that into Trustworthy. One other thing that you see underneath this add menu is something called direct scan. This is, we work typically with ScanSnap scanners. A lot of our Trustworthy certified experts, that's people that you can hire to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you to get organized. We have a whole set of them on our website. A lot of them will use these ScanSnap scanners. And one thing you can do with ScanSnap is you can configure it to email the scan files to that same email address. If you just scan it, it'll go right into Trustworthy without you having to think about it. Also under here is something called Gmail. So not everyone has a Gmail account, and not everyone will want this, but one option that's out there to keep your account up to date without you doing anything is you can connect it to your Gmail account so that it can pull PDFs out of your Gmail. We're only looking at PDFs right now. They're most commonly important household documents when they come in as PDF. And what we're doing is we're able to pull those into your account automatically just by basically OAuth into your Gmail. And you can just connect this at any time. But what I can do is I can come in here, go to Gmail, you determine how far back you want us to look. I'm going to set mine to 1 year, and I can say connect my account. I'll log into this whatever Gmail account, test a lot. I've got a number of Gmail accounts in here. And once you're done, it's connected into that account, which means any new files that get sent to you, you don't have to go send them to Trustworthy. You don't have to think about them. They will just land inside Trustworthy. And it's on some timer. It's going to sync every 30 minutes. I'm just going to force it to sync through now. And you can see a number of files are coming into the account. If they came in from Gmail, you'll see the Gmail icon there. And the same sort of thing, it's got some driver's licenses, it's got a bank statements, what else is in here? Birth certificates, etc. Sometimes you'll see tooltips about things that are coming in. We're still working on these in this environment. So it processes through these, and it's going to come up with suggestions on these. There are times where a file won't be known. We don't know what to do with it. It's not a type of file where we can make a suggestion. In those circumstances, you might see an option where instead of making a suggestion where you accept, it's just pick a location, like tell me where to put this file because I don't really know. So all these files that are coming in from email, it's processing them. Eventually, this will switch to a suggested location once it processes through them all, just like this one here. So it's found a spot for this insurance policy. My job here is just to accept these, remove them. These other ones, they'll update to show a suggested location in a minute.
Okay. With some of these coming in, we have a question that you can answer while they're doing it. Could you show how you can move a file into a folder?
Yes. So let's talk about folders for a second. So let me go over to property, for example, and I've already got a page in here for my vehicles. I'm going to go to this files section. Files there's a generic folder here just called files, but sometimes you want to get more organized and keep things bundled into separate repositories. So let's say I wanted to add a folder so I did this add and I'm doing new folder. And let's say I want to do this maintenance and repair. This is where I'm going to put all the maintenance documents. Maybe I've got, you can see one of those files came in and it's showing me where it might land. Let's add another folder, and let's say I want to do ownership. No, let's say, what's another good example? Oh, let's say I'm collecting a bunch of files to get a loan for this vehicle, and I need to aggregate them in one place. I can create another folder. Once I have these folders in place, I can upload files to them just by dragging them into these folders, or I can take files that are inbox and move them directly into these folders. I'll show you both of those things. So let me grab this is a vehicle brake repair. I'm going to put it inside this maintenance one. So it's dropped it there. And you can see how files can be in there, and you can drag any files at once into there if you want. But let's say a file is my inbox or a file is somewhere else in Trustworthy. Anytime you're looking at a file, there's an option to move these files around. So let's say for reasons, I wanted to put this Goldman Sachs bank account statement, not what it says, but I want to put it on that vehicle. We're not going to stop you from doing that. So what you can do is you can click the three dots here and say move, and I could go to property. I can click on the vehicle, and then I'll see these different folders in here. So this is a file I need for financing. I needed to prove what's in my bank balance or something like that. I can put this file there. And in the same way, it's going to remove it from my inbox. And now that file is over under my property category in that files for financing folder where I put it. Okay. Anytime you're looking at a file, anytime you see, pretty much anytime you see the three dots next to a file, you'll get an option to move it. Maybe I don't want it there. I want it somewhere else. You can just move it around. Maybe you're previewing the file. You can move it from here too. There's also ways to move a file. If file is on a page and I wanted to move it to a different folder, I can just drag it to those folders. There's a lot of different options for how you can interact with files. Okay, so move is always on the table. So we talked a bit about Gmail. It's done processing all these files. It's come up with suggestions for all of these different things. So there might be times where you send a batch of files to Trustworthy and you've got a lot of review to do where it wants to file them. Typically, you just sort of glance through and start to accept these files and get them into the right place. And that'll start to build out your Trustworthy. And if you want to create these extra pages based on suggestions, you can do that when the time is right.
Kyle, there's another question about Gmail, which is about Gmail rules and
Yes.
saying I want certain senders only
Yeah.
to be able to have files added.
So there's a way you can control this a bit right now. One is go to your account menu. There's a lot of goodies under this account menu, especially in the settings area. If I go to settings, there's a lot of different options in here. One of them is connections, and this is where we set up that Gmail connection. So if I was to click on the Gmail address that I got connected and then go to edit, there's something called filtering where if I wanted to block specific senders and I don't want their files to even land in my inbox, you can do that as well. There's a couple of things that you could do. If you have a very specific email address, you could type that in. If you want to block everything from a sender, you can do something like so something like start at allstate.com will block anything with a at allstate email address. So you can block things like this. Or if there's only specific people that you want emails from, you can also set up this way. Let's say only bring in files from these people. This will get improved. Shortly, we're working on something that allows you to build those sender rules during the accept process. So as things land in your inbox, you can create a rule right on the fly. For now, as of today, you'll have to go to settings, into that email connection, go into edit, and that's where you can start to filter these senders, okay? But one of the things that you'll see in the days and weeks to come is like, if you were to delete something from here that came in from your email, when you delete, it will ask you, hey, do you want to block further files from this sender? And that's typically a delete from your inbox is a good signal to us that I probably didn't want these. So you'll be able to set up these block lists pretty quickly just through the act of curating things here. So let's get into, I want to talk about a couple things and then get into collaboration, and then we'll do some more questions. So let me go back to my account menu here, and let's talk about collaboration. There's a couple key concepts that are important here. When you sign up for Trustworthy, you are the sole user of your system. That doesn't always work for families. Oftentimes there's someone else who has a say in how, or someone else who has access to files in their privy. Like when I joined Trustworthy, I created my account. I got everything set up that I had access to. I invited my wife and I was like, okay, now do yours. And so she had bank accounts, she had insurance, she had investment accounts, and things like that. Inviting other people is done through this manage access. And you can see I'm David Reynolds. I'm the only person in there. If I want to add other people, here's where I get to decide what level of access they will have. You can see there's 3 different options here. Full access means this is commonplace for a spouse or most trusted loved one or partner, sometimes a personal assistant, sometimes family offices, things like that. You might bring them in as full access. That means they can see and do and change everything just like you. They've got the same access as you. There's another option called partial. Partial, let's say you've got an adult child. Let's say Emily, she's going away to college. And while she's there, I want to make sure she's got access to certain data, but I don't want her to see everything inside my account. What you can do is when someone's set to partial, during the step of adding them, you can configure their access, and there's a few options here. One is you can give people entire category access. Let's say you're working with an estate planner, you might want them to have access to everything in legal. Maybe you're working with an accountant, you want them to have everything in taxes and everything in finance. You just check those check boxes. But let's say with Emily, I don't want Emily to see everything in all these categories. Maybe I just want her to have access to the Sienna. I only have one vehicle in here, but you'll see a list of all your vehicles, and you can select specifically the vehicle that you want Emily to have access to. And maybe I want Emily to have access to certain finance accounts. You can do the same thing here. It'll list out all your accounts, and you can pick and choose what things Emily's going to have access to. Oops. Let me come back.
A great real life example of this that I like to share with folks, Kyle, is like my daughter. She's a minor. She doesn't need access to everything right now. So she has access to our garage door code, our Wi-Fi password, her school ID, her passport, and our medical insurance card. On the flip side, as an adult child, I have access to my parents' will, their medical power of attorney, their financial power of attorney, right? So I have access to that now. And then Kyle's going to tell you about legacy. I also have legacy access for my parents.
So legacy is a scenario where you want to designate someone who could get elevated access to your account in the unforeseen, if the unforeseen were to happen to you and you get hit by the proverbial bus. That's one of the big reasons why people are putting stuff in Trustworthy, is to set their family up for success when they're gone. And a legacy access person is someone that you're designating who is sort of in the queue to get elevated access if something were to happen. So you can invite them. It's going to send them a verification email. They can click the verification to verify that they're reachable at that address. And then what happens in a scenario, let's say you do get hit by the bus, they have access to, when they get this email from us, they'll get the instructions on what to do in case of emergency. What they can do is they can reach out to support. We will ask them for documents to prove that you've been incapacitated or you've passed away, death certificate or other documents depending on your jurisdiction. Those go through a vetting process on our end. Then, assuming those are legit, we will put them through an identity verification process where we'll prove who they are. And then we can start to elevate their access so they can get access to what's in their account in case they need to settle the account. So there's a number of checks and balances. It's not like just click a button and they're there. There's human review and human intervention, plus some automation through the identity verification steps. But legacy access, there's no point in, I believe, well, this might be wrong, but if you go to the trouble to put all this stuff into Trustworthy, someone should know what's in there besides you. Invite someone as a collaborator, invite people as legacy access. So if you do get hit by the bus, someone knows where to go and they're not starting from scratch and like going through all your files again. They know everything's in one place. One more thing I want to talk about. Let me go into my family category, and I just want to go to where I can see a file. So we talked about inviting a collaborator in. That's someone with a login who you've gone to the trouble of inviting. They need to log in, do multi-factor authentication, get into your account. There's someone you can revoke access whenever. There's scenarios in life where you need to share stuff with people who are outside of your circle of trust, so to speak. These are people who it's a very temporary relationship with them. Let's say you're working with a broker on mortgage refinance, and the broker like, send me your ID. I need to make sure you're not a money launderer, whatever they do when they check your ID. You can share the ID with them without inviting them as a collaborator. So you can do anytime you want to share a file, just find the file, search, chat through browsing and click on it. Once you're looking at the file, you can then do share, and you can create a link to this file that you can share with that contact, and that link will expire over time. So I can create this link. I can send this to that contact via email, text, however I want to do it. I can send this link. When they click the link, they'll be able to access the file. You'll get an email notification that someone's used the link, and you'll get an email notification when it expires. So it's not out there forever. And it's surely a better posture than how I used to do things, which is snap a photo of it, attach to an email, send it to a stranger's inbox, where I guarantee if they still work there, the file is sitting in their inbox still. When we sort of joined Trustworthy, it'll look through my outbound emails for everything. It was a driver's license of 6 different people. My driver's license is in their inbox for various moments that I went through. So just an increment in posture as far as privacy of your data. These expiring links are a good way to do that. I know there's a lot, and there's probably, Ellen, how many questions are out there? Because I haven't even touched on chat or search, and I definitely want to get into chat for a second.
Okay, you do that, and then we'll hop into questions. I know a couple folks have already entered some in, so let's take it away with chat.
Yeah, so chat you'll find here in your main tab. It's also available on mobile, and we'll look at that in a moment. Chat is a great way to ask questions about your data or to get advice as to what to do next. When I go into chat, you'll see some sample prompts in here just to give you some inspiration as to the things that you could typically ask. But if you have like a really, oops, I'm dropping phones everywhere. If you have a question that you want to ask about something, or you need to roll up your data for a certain life moment, you can just start to ask these questions. And let's say, something like that. I need all my passport numbers for family members. The way, before we had chat, the way you'd have to do this is to go into your family IDs page. For every family member, click on the passport, get the passport number, probably copy it somewhere else, and repeat for every family member. Now I can just ask that question. I get a nice table of all the things that I need, and it's right there for me. I can copy and paste these, whatever it might be. And I've got links to go directly to those items if I need them. If there's other questions that you want to ask about, like, what does this mean inside my insurance policy? You can ask those questions as well. There's a lot of things you can do here. Do look at those sample prompts that you see when you go to new chat. Here's a good example of how the liability limits work. If you just have questions about that, it can go off and find answers and give you advice. It's also a pretty good tool for knowing what to do next. You can ask it to say, okay, I'm a family of 4. I'm just getting started with Trustworthy. Tell me what's the next most important thing to do, and it'll give you some advice as to what to do next. This was more of a generic ask about like interpreting things I'm seeing in an insurance policy. The power of AI and language models is they can find answers like this quickly. So this is all baked into your account as well. You can also do this on mobile, which I don't want to forget. Mobile's like a place where you have questions all the time, where you're out in the field or you're out away from your desk and you want to ask things. You can just click on this chat icon that's down at the bottom. I like to see this microphone in the bottom right. I like to use voice. I need the VIN number for my vehicles. I can ask that question. I forget how many vehicles are in my system, maybe a couple. it's going to go off and find that information. Looks like I just have the Sienna in there, but if you had a bunch, you'd probably get a table like we saw before. So you can go and ask those questions. If I need that for something elsewhere, I can grab that number. So mobile chat, desktop chat, great tool for getting answers quickly. Let's pause on demoing and let's jump into questions because we don't have that much time.
All right, let's do it. First question is, when is the new inbox coming out?
The number of times I've been asked that today, it is tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, it's probably going to be Monday. So that's why I wanted to show the inbox, because it's imminent and it changes some of the workflow. All the AI that just creates stuff without your approval will be diminished, and the inbox will be the way that you curate and open the gate for us to go through. So hopefully tomorrow. We're still testing through some things and making sure that we have the right instructional materials available for people, video tutorials, etc. So you'll get an email notification or email from us when we launch that, so you know it's in place. And so in a loop, but it's really close. I'm using it here. You can see it's working. There's a few more things we've got to finish up around QA and some penetration testing.
Perfect, thank you. Question about how to change a document name if the AI changed it and used a name that was inappropriate.
Yeah, so there's any time that you can see a file, and you can click on a file to get into a preview, whether it's here from the inbox or you've gone to, let's say, into my property category. Remember these files that I was uploading? Anytime you're looking at a file and you can click on it to get into a preview, this is a good place where you can edit the document. Up in the top, there's the document name. You can click in there to change this. To change this name. Okay, so that's updated the name there, and that applies to even if it's still sitting in your inbox and you want to change. Here's a good example. It abbreviated the toilet. You can see what I did there is I've clicked here on the title. I could also change it by clicking on the preview. Both of those things are options for me to change the document title.
Perfect, thank you. Next question is can you file a document in more than one place? For example, investments and file for financing.
Technically, yes. It's a bit of a hidden feature. So let's do an example where here, I'll show you an example. Let me go to insurance, and let's say on this insurance policy, I wanted to put my vehicle title, which is currently linked to a vehicle. Actually, let me just make sure. Let me go to my inbox. Let me accept this. Okay, so let me just recap where we're at. I went to property. I went to vehicles. That title is in here. That's the title that I just changed the name of. Let's say I also wanted it on insurance. So I want it in two places. What you can do is go over to insurance, go to this auto insurance, go to my files directory or wherever you can put a file, use add. Instead of uploading or scanning, do move existing file. And if I do, I'll see this title. And when I select it, I'll get this option, keep in both places. And by doing this, effectively, it's like a little bit of a hack to know that. So the question to raise, if you want it to be in both places, go to the place, go to the new place where you want it to show up first, like go to the destination, say add existing file, and then when you choose that existing file that's already in your system, you have this option to keep it in both places. So effectively what happens is that file shows up here, but it also still remains back in that other place. And if you went to delete this file, it'll ask you, and you may have seen this already, where it's got files hooked up in multiple spots, it'll ask you, okay, it's in 2 spots. Where do you want to delete it from? You could, if you want to delete it wholesale from everywhere, or just leave it, remove it from one place, keep it in another. You can do all those things.
Perfect. Thank you. We have a member who is desperately waiting for health. When is the health category coming?
It's technically, we haven't launched yet because we've got a couple things that we need to get out first. This inbox will launch soon. I would expect to see a beta of that in a couple of weeks. We're enabling it internally so we can experiment with it, and we'll probably roll it out under a beta flag effectively, and then we'll get your feedback and we'll keep tuning from there. So it's coming soon. Just a reminder for people who are new to Trustworthy, if because we don't have a category for health or medical, what we do see a lot of people do currently as a workaround is in their family category under each family member. Oftentimes what we'll see is people will create a file section, they'll create a folder and call this prescriptions, diagnoses, or scan results, or whatever. We'll create these folders for different health concerns and upload to there. Eventually, once we launch this, there'll be a new option here called health, and that's where we'll be able to track all those types of data, types of documents. So pinning me down to a date on this is going to be hard because I've been asked this for a very long time about when this is coming up, but we've got access locally, but we've got to go through a bunch of testing and make sure it's going to work.
Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah.
Marianne, yes, this is being recorded. It'll be posted in the next day or two. If you follow Trustworthy on YouTube, you'll get an instant notification the moment the video is posted. Otherwise, we'll send an email that has both the video as well as all of the Q&A from today's session. So there we go. We have another question about adding a category. So this person said, when I select a document, moving just pops up current categories, not
Right.
the option to add one.
Right. So what we're describing is, let's say I wanted to move and maybe I wanted a new category called travel. We don't have that capacity yet to add a category. I can add, new things within a category. If I want to add a new vehicle or jewelry or whatever it is, I can add those things, but I can't add an entirely new category. That's something that we're working on. We're aware that we need to add more flexibility here to allow you to add things like maybe education, maybe travel, maybe military service, whatever it might be. You want that flexibility. So that's something that is next up for us. It's a pretty big overhaul of how we do things. So be patient as we roll that out, but it's not new news for us that people are looking for that. So we will bring that to the forefront as soon as we can.
Perfect. Last question, unless anyone else has others, going. Will we offer a way to copy or export or print the list of family passports, for example, from chat?
Yes, that's a good use case right there. So you saw me ask it to summarize all this stuff in a table. It presented a nice table, but there wasn't a clear print or export option from there. So that's the thing that's in our queue is like, not only print or export, but maybe I want to share that with somebody. Maybe my travel agent needed that info and I want to bundle everything and share it. So that's something that is in our backlog. We haven't started on yet, but we will get to the ability to print and export from chat, as well as I thought where this question was going was like a printout of my entire account, which is another thing that we'll have the capability of doing likely through chat as well, where you ask it, I need a PDF summary of my account because I want to file it for offline access or for someone who's not digitally savvy, right? So you'll get more options like that in chat. I've got a meeting after this about chat. So there's a lot of things that we want to do with chat, and one of them is this ability to print, export, share chats, etc.
One last question that came in direct was about reminders. So I'll just answer it really quickly. Yes, you can create your own reminders. So you can go into any page or any document and you can add a reminder, and you can set For the reminder, you can set notifications, like notify me a day in advance, a week in advance. You can also set recurrence. I want you to repeat this every month. And a nice little addition that I use all the time because I'm very forgetful is I add notes to each reminder. So I remind myself, oh yeah, when this happens, make sure I also do this. Or if it's, going to a doctor appointment, make sure I take this document with me. I add notes to almost all reminders. And anyone on your account with full access, only full access, will also receive those reminders unless they also have access to this. So if your daughter, in my case, has access to the auto insurance policy, she'll get that reminder as well. But otherwise, it's only for full access people.
Yeah.
Anything to add to that, Kyle?
Yeah. I think this is another good case for creating pages for things. A reminder has to be connected to a thing inside Trustworthy. So if you remember, I uploaded an insurance policy and I didn't create a page for one of the vehicles. I only created a page for the Sienna. In order for me to add reminders about the Sienna, I need to have a page for it where I can hook those reminders into. So if I don't have that page for like the Lexus or whatever, it's hard for me to add a reminder. But maybe I want to add a reminder to this. You can see on this Sienna, there's a whole reminders tab. This will take me to the reminders section. And if I want to add a new reminder, I could do it here. So a reminder has to be on a page. It just can't be like free form, free floating on the account. It's got to be connected to something, whether it's a person or a piece of property or a bank account or a document. You can add reminders on all these things. You just can't have a disconnected reminder.
Oh, we have one more question coming in from Mary Kay. Do you want to put it into chat or message? Hold that thought. See if Mary Kay has her question for us. I'm looking. Sorry, folks. Okay. Mary Kay, if you want to email us at support@Trustworthy, we will take your question and we'll add it into the summary of all of today's Q&A. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We really appreciate all of our members and all the feedback and engagement and ideas and trust that you put in us. And we appreciate your time. So please jump in and look for the email from us as soon as the new inbox is released, and reach out anytime at support@Trustworthy.